On Labor Day 2022, we are having an event called From Mutual Aid to Community Development at First Christian Church of Montgomery from 4 to 10. From 4 to 6 is a cookout. From 6 to 7 is a presentation of a report that we're writing. From 7 to 9 is a panel discussion among the authors. And from 9 to 10 is a musical act by Bob Marston. And, you know, we think of the South as a laboratory for new institutional and social arrangements that can be scaled globally. And I think one of the big issues with the South is that there's a purposely cultivated provinciality that sees that nothing that happens outside of Birmingham or Montgomery or Alabama actually really matters. When in fact, global capital is investing billions of dollars all throughout the South, especially in timber, resource extraction, uh, automobile production. And I think it's important time for us to think of ourselves as a node uh, in the globe and not necessarily as just what happens in Alabama stays in Alabama. There are some pretty big advantages to working in Alabama. There's not a lot of competition in the activist space. There's not strong leftist organizations as there are a plethora of in coastal cities. And the ones that do exist tend to work pretty well together. That doesn't seem to be a great deal of backbiting and competition and ideological wrangling. It just seems like trying to solve some problems here in our communities. Um, the report that we're writing, which is being written by M. Tran, uh, will document four such community development organizations throughout the South. The Habitual Bee, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina, Lamplight, which is in the Alabama Appalachians, uh, Hometown Organizing Project, which is working on a farmers market in Camp Hill, and the Automotive Free Clinic, which is in Prattville. And we're sort of framing this as not necessarily how to change the South, but how to solve global issues. We're faced with multiple planetary crises right now, not the least of which is climate change, which is ramping up at an incredible speed and is going to transform the way the world lives over the next 20 years. But also, we're closer to nuclear war now than we have ever been since the Bay of Pigs crisis in the 60s. So we need to look at different ways of engagement. And unfortunately, in the South, most of the money goes to policy protest, election type stuff. And really, the people of the South are not that interested in that type of engagement. We've lost faith in the electoral process and we've lost faith in the policy process. 40% of us don't vote. In Alabama, only 37% of the voting eligible population voted for Trump, and even less voted for Biden, and 38% didn't vote at all. So we've disengaged from this type of politics, and what we would like to do is to create a new type of politics built around providing services and education to members of the community. Basic stuff. And those basic things seem to be what the global system is currently unable to provide in any significant way. And we're looking at the South again as a laboratory for developing these types of institutional arrangements that could possibly be the next form of social organization on the globe. Now, we're not the only ones doing this. Um, you have the Basque region of Spain with Mondragon, you have Rojava, you have the Zapatistas, and we sort of consider ourselves in those traditions, although we don't necessarily believe in armed conflict. There are other places around the globe that are working on cooperatives, and it's not really that big of a push in the South to work on cooperatives aside from farming cooperatives, but we're looking at, eventually growing into different types of service-oriented cooperatives and a real mutual aid economy. A lot of the stuff that's going on with mutual aid now is really just charity. It's taking money from rich people and giving it to poor people, which there's nothing wrong with that. That needs to happen, as bad as things are. But we really need to build a mutual aid economy in which mutual aid is an institutional stance and an institutional strategy for serving the community and carrying us forward into the future and on into the community development, which is the creation of community-based institutions that serve the people and are sustainable. So please sign up. The link is in the post. It's $30, which is it's a little expensive, but the money that is raised online is going to be divided among the 5 authors, and you can also pay at the door. The money paid at the door is going to go to the Automotive Free Clinic. So join us on September 5th, which is Labor Day, at 4 o'clock until 10 o'clock. It should be a fun day, and learn about the work that we're doing here in the South to try to change the world. Peace, y'all.